Hi everyone, welcome to Glow with Grace. I wanted to do a little video today about how I no longer eat raw vegan, raw vegan, and some of my thoughts about that. I realized that for some people this might be news. For a lot of people, I'm guessing not. I know Matt has mentioned it various times in different videos and talks that the girls and I eat differently. And it's been quite a while that I at least have been eating differently. It's been more than 60 years since I changed the way that I eat. Yeah, so, for people who live around here, people who know us personally, everybody knows we eat differently, but I have never done a video like this myself, talking publicly about this, so that's what I wanted to do today. So if I was to summarize the way that the girls and I eat at this point, I would say most probably of what we still eat is still raw vegan, actually. But the main things that we've added in have been cooked eggs and cooked fish. And it's definitely been like a long, slow process. I actually started all of this, as I said, like six and a half years ago. And the first thing that I tried was goat cheese, like local raw goat cheese. And I didn't really like it, actually. I mean, it was all right. It was interesting, but it didn't feel like it digested very well in my body. And from there I went on to eggs, which felt really great to me, like amazing. Like I would eat an omelet and I would feel like I could eat an omelet the size of the table that I'm sitting at. Like there was this feeling like I couldn't kind of get enough. And I probably ate that kind of way for, I don't know, a couple of years or so. It's been like a very slow kind of process. Then at that point I added in fish. And at this point, the kind of things I eat, I tend towards kind of low glycemic stuff, kind of ketogenic, whatever you call it, just because, I don't do well with much sweet stuff. I don't do well with grains. That's been clear to me for a long time, that kind of thing. So the kind of things that I would tend to eat in a day would be, like chia pudding with nut milk and stevia as the sweetener, right? And then just maybe like some papaya and strawberries on top, something like that. Like not going for much blood sugar spiking stuff. Salads with fish, maybe like scrambled eggs. It's been like a learning process, having to learn different recipes and how to cook different things, because I was raw vegan for like 12 years before beginning this shift. So yeah, learning how to make vegetable soups and different like cooked veggie dishes and things like that. And the girls at this point, I mean, they eat the same kind of stuff I do, just perhaps not quite the same way. They eat fruit much more than I do. Leah loves fish. They will both eat fish, but she will eat it much more than Araya will. They both eat eggs. They love, cucumbers. Araya loves salads and broccoli, like fruit, anything, right? And we are fortunate to live in a place where there's an abundance of all those kind of things easily at hand. And they will do grains much more than I would. They love popcorn and rice crackers. They got into rice crackers recently, things like that. So yeah, that's kind of where things are at this point. I have also in the last very recently, maybe the last 6 months or something, I started to try chicken again, and I quite like that. It's just been a very kind of long, slow process of adjustment and kind of experimentation, trying out so many different things. And that's kind of where we're at this point. So the reason why I started eating differently like this to begin with was it just was what felt right to me 6 or so years ago. As I said, I'd been on a raw food path for 12 years already at that point. And it was just something in my body, wanting more, asking for more. And so I began experimenting. And yeah, ultimately for me at this point, my kind of bottom line is I feel better from the changes that I've made. I feel like things work better in my body. I feel healthier, stronger. Like my digestive system is much calmer. You know, often when I was eating raw, I would feel like all this digestive discomfort and gas, and like things just weren't digesting properly, you know, and I still kind of feel like that. If I look at certain like raw food products or combinations, like raw food, restaurant food and things, my stomach just is kind of like, like, no, please don't eat that. Combo or bombos, I think we used to call them. Yeah, so that's kind of the bottom line for me, is just I feel better. So actually at this point, and this is just my personal opinion and it may be controversial, but I feel that eating vegan, raw vegan, is not optimal, especially in the long run and especially for women and children. That's my feeling. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. That's my opinion. And actually that's one of the main reasons that I wanted to do a video like this, was because I feel really uncomfortable when I see people or hear people talking about referring to my children in terms of, oh, you know, they're vegan, raw vegan, they're healthy, whatever. And yeah, they are healthy, they are happy. And yeah, maybe the majority of what they eat is raw vegan. However, there is a percentage of stuff that isn't. And you know what, if it's that makes all the difference, you know? So just really wanting to put this out there and be clear about that. Like Araya was raw vegan from birth, you know, and for, I don't know, the first 3-4 years of her life, something like that, she was raw vegan. But as I, you know, went along this path and experimented more and more, she eventually became interested in things. And yeah, here we are. You know, this is the point that we're at right now. And who knows how things will change and move along. Yeah, and one thing that I think is really interesting as well, and again, this is probably controversial for some people, but I think it's really fascinating that if you look at the majority of the people who've been teaching about raw foods for the last kind of century or so, the majority of them are men. And I think that's interesting, because I kind of get the feeling that men can kind of get away more potentially with things with their bodies, because they don't use their bodies to produce new human bodies, right? Yeah, or like breastfeed those bodies. So yeah, I think it's interesting. And as I said, I don't feel that it's an optimal choice, especially in the long run. And there's just things that are difficult to get, challenging to get with a raw vegan lifestyle. You know, things like fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, things that are really important if you're pregnant or breastfeeding mama or growing child. You know, it's challenging. So there you go. That's my thoughts on that kind of stuff. So, having said that, I do still feel that eating raw vegan can be a useful tool for people still in certain circumstances. You know, if someone wants to do a detox, a cleanse, kickstart a healthier lifestyle, deal with certain diseases and illnesses and things in a certain way, things like that. I still think it can be hugely helpful for people. I just don't think it's necessarily the greatest choice in the long run. And I have a huge amount of gratitude, you know, for the path of raw veganism, the way that it's shown up in my own life. I mean, my goodness, it's no exaggeration to say that I might not even be here anymore if it wasn't for raw foods, you know, the way that it showed up in my life. If you don't know my background, I used to weigh almost 300 pounds, morbidly obese, extremely ill, on tons of different medications. That was all completely transformed in my life from choosing the path that I did back in 2002. So I definitely have a huge amount of gratitude for where this path has led me. It led me to my marriage, my children, like pretty much everything that is in my life at this point kind of came from there. So, I have a huge amount of gratitude, and I also am at a different point at this point for myself, and I get it. I get the vegan standpoint, and I get that there are probably people watching this who feel maybe upset, disturbed, uncomfortable hearing this, if this is news to you. I get it. I've been around this health movement since 2002. It's like 18 years, 12 years a raw vegan. I understand the compassionate heart of most vegans, and how confusing it can be for some people if they hear news like this. So if that's you, and if this is the point at which our paths maybe go in different directions, I just want to say I wish you well. I really do, with your path, with whatever that looks like. I know what feels good for me at this point, and for my health and my children. And this is where things are at for us right now. So I'm not here to persecute anyone, attack anyone, for the way that anybody else might eat. I'm just one person, right? I'm just here to share my truth about the way that I eat. And if you follow my work online, you probably noticed, like, I don't do anything about raw food online anymore, and I haven't for years. Pretty much, when I started to change the way that I ate, I stopped doing that kind of stuff, raw food interviews and videos and books and all that kind of stuff that I used to be involved in. The last few years I've just pretty much been doing stuff about parenting, being a mama, stuff with the children, because that's been, the main focus of my life, right, for like the last 9 years. My older daughter Araya just turned 8 in November, and the little one, Leah, is about to turn 4 in a few days. So, that's the main focus of my life at this point. And I'm also starting to do some different things with local women around here in Ecuador, which is really fun and fulfilling too. So I just wanted to put this video out and share my perspective and my experience with this, and just kind of get it out there once and for all. So there you have it. That's where myself and the girls are at with eating. And as I said, I wish everybody well with your journeys, everyone's personal experiments and journeys. And thanks for watching. Ciao.